This is the first time I really ever heard about this, so I think I have found a pretty good medium of where I stand, where I land at, but yeah, I definitely learned some interesting stuff. So I think I would consider myself to be an inclusionist. I do believe that children deserve the opportunity to be in a general education class if they want to be, but I also believe that students deserve to be in the least restrictive environment. So I'm just going to kind of dig into what I think, and yeah, we'll go from there. So the first thing from my article that I learned that I thought was really interesting was there is what's called a SAT teacher. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it stands for Support and Attention to Diversity Teacher. So this is a specialist, but a teacher, who is a special ed teacher, and she'll actually, her population of students will have gone to a general education classroom. I keep saying she'll, but the teacher, the SAT, will be in that classroom with the original teacher, and they will become my co-teachers. And the SAT teacher is actually there to help the students with disabilities, but it's supposed to be a resource for other students as well. And so I think if we are going to move towards putting children in general education classrooms, if it's beneficial to the student, I think that could be a great resource, and it could also help the original teacher feel a little less stressed and feel like she still has a pretty good hold in the classroom. So I think that is a wonderful resource. And so the next thing that I learned about is how teachers can become, like how the inclusion training can be beneficial for teachers. So I actually learned that teachers who take this training before going into classes and things like that, that they have better outcomes for understanding the principle of inclusion and understanding that the quality of their training and things will increase their involvement, and just the resourcefulness that they use with their students. So I think that was really interesting. I also, that article also talks about how integrating students requires our educational system to modify, and I agree with that 100,000%. I do not believe that students should have to modify or accommodate their situation or their beliefs or, whatever to fit the needs of the student. The school should be accommodating and fitting the needs of each student, whether that be the classroom or the cafeteria or the library. We should be accommodating the student, not the other way around. And so I found some articles that were for the argument of inclusion and some that were not for the article, or I'm sorry, the inclusion, the argument, that's the word. So one of the articles I found was talking about how they placed students with disabilities in a general education classroom for some period of time, and they did a survey on how the parents feel like that affected their child, because a lot of parents, or it's just been said that the argument for exclusion, not bringing special education students in, is because they'll have to change their lessons and it won't be challenging for the non-disabled students, but that's not true at all. Not from what I found, at least. I think that you can still provide a challenging and grade level appropriate lesson for a non-disabled child, while a child with a special education accommodation within the classroom. And again, I think that's where those SAT teachers would be so beneficial, because we can provide modified assignments. I don't really think that that's a big hindrance. So anyways, Of that, 78% of parents reported that the inclusive classroom had no effect on their non-disabled child's academic progress, while 15% reported positive effects. And then 7 reported that there was a decrease in academic progress, and 22% of the parents believe that their child's individual time with their teacher had increased. Again, perfect moment for the SAT teachers. I think that they'd be so beneficial if we are going to bring special education students into general education classrooms. But also, the same report showed that while a majority of the participants didn't see any increase or decrease in academic progress, they reported that their children are more aware of others and their disabilities, and it is more, they basically are just like aware of it and appreciative of the students, and they don't make fun of them, and they understand that people are different and that's just the way they are, and that's perfectly okay. And so I found an argument against inclusion, and this argument, basically he pulled out 3 arguments that I guess inclusionists use, and he says why he believes they are false or fake. So the first one is an inclusionist argument. It says that children learn best in regular education classrooms, because I guess regular education classrooms are supposed to mean bigger group sizes. He says that's false. Children learn best in small groups, and that research shows that. The second thing he said that inclusionists say is that the goal of social equity is keeping children mixed with their peers is more important than how much children learn. He says that is subscribing to the belief that social aspects are more important than educational aspects. And then he says that inclusionists say pull-out programs are in violation of civil rights. He says the inclusionist stance becomes political instead of educational, and if that were the case, that the least restrictive environment would be breaking several civil rights statutes. So I don't really know what to say about all that. I mean, I don't know about the pull-out part. I don't know all of the statutes and things like that, but it kind of just feels nitpicky to me. But overall, research has shows that having disabled students in a classroom with non-disabled students has shown that there is increased participation in classrooms. We're both working on skill development. We're able to work out and work with some challenging behaviors. And that it's really good for the non-disabled students because they're able to show some leadership skills. So overall, I think that I am for inclusion, and I don't think it has to be so black and white. I do believe that if a student is struggling in a general education classroom, then we should be able to put the student back in what would be the least restrictive environment, or the environment that the student learns best. I don't think it has to be one way or another, and I just think that we should be doing the best by the student at all times.